In this lesson, I want to show you how to build a really nice setup that is really often in character animation. So here we have a really basic ellipse model, and I've done just a few things before prior to recording. So you can actually see that I have two joints, and each one is weighted to its corresponding lip, and I have this null controller, which is actually a parent of this bottom lip joint. So whenever I rotate this, the bottom lip will open, so to speak. So this is a really simple setup, just as we did before. So two joints applied to the mesh, and we also have a skin tag, and I think there is really no need for me to cover that. You can see the weighting. Let me just show you the weighting. It's really basic. I didn't want to lose time, so we have a top lip weighted to a top lip joint, and vice versa, the bottom lip weighted to bottom lip joint. So this is a really simple setup. We have a tiny bit of smoothing here, so I really didn't want to lose time creating this setup manually from the start. Let me apply that hypernerves. Once again, I will enable it and tell you actually what I want to achieve. The effect that I'm going for is actually sticky lips, and let me just briefly explain you what I want to do. So when this lip opens up, when this mouth opens, you can really see that effect if your lips are really dry, and sometimes they will stick together a little bit. So you will have some sort of a lag and a stretching, and the bottom lip will really stick just a little bit to a upper lip, and it will then separate. I think you will get what I mean. Let me undo all that, and I'll select all here and simply zero out everything here with freeze all. So we have nice and clean values, so actually this reset rotation would work. We can demonstrate that. So if I rotate this a bit and simply hit reset rotation, it will reset it to default position. So how do we achieve such an effect? Again, the deformers are best solution. And if you remember, we can simulate that effect with the jiggle deformer because we used it in the lesson where the hand moves the pudding, and that pudding was affected by a jiggle deformer. So we can actually use it in this situation. Although that sticky lips effect is in reality most pronounced here on the sides of the lip, I will actually create that setup here in the middle, so it will be much more easier for you to understand. So let's add that jiggle deformer to our scene, drop it in, and we will make it a child of our lips. And of course we want all deformations caused by this jiggle deformer to happen after the skin deformer. Since we want really a specific area of influence of that jiggle deformer, here you can see it has many settings here, and they are really easily understandable. And since we want really a small area of influence, we'll use a fall off here, and let's have box fall off will be fine. You can see that our jiggle deformer is actually created in the world center, and pull it upwards somewhere around here, and we'll really scale it approximately to the size of this lower lip. It doesn't have to be perfect for the tutorial. Something like this would be pretty much good enough. And just here under fall off, I will increase this fall off so we have a really nice and soft transition of that effect. So let's now give it a shot and see actually if we do some sort of a deformation on the joints, what will happen. You can see the effect. You can just disable the visibility of that jiggle guy in the viewport, so we will see much more clearly. And I'm just rotating this bottom lip controller, which is actually a parent of that bottom lip joint. So you can see the effect. It kind of really lags behind and stays sticked just a little bit. We also have a problem which we will solve. Let me undo it. Maybe pull this just a little bit upwards and test it. So I think it's much better now. The problem we have, I will once again turn off the visibility. If we go back, look how the lip behaves really unnaturally. It kind of bulges and does something which it really shouldn't. So if we are going downwards here, it's all okay, but as we go back, it kind of pops upwards, and this is what we don't want. This is actually very bad. So how do we fix that? Let me reset this. Well, if we break it down, actually all we need is for this jiggle guy to be disabled when we are going backwards. We can do that with espresso. So let's add that espresso tag, and in this case we can add it to this bottom lip that is actually controller, so it really doesn't matter, and I will dock it here as usual, simply because I like that approach. You can do anything else you want, and here we will solve our little problem. So let's approach this logically. We will certainly want to put everything that has sense in espresso. Since we will be really dealing with rotations of this bottom lip guy, let's drop it in and start from that. What we will want to influence is a jiggle deformer, so we will most certainly need that. And as we said, we have to find a way to disable the jiggle deformer. So here we will simply, under basic properties, extract this enabled value. So always do what is really logical and has sense. So the property we will most certainly use is actually this rotation. And that is, as you can read from here, rotation P. Just reset this. So let's extract that rotation P value, and we have to find a way to compare this rotation, this existing one, and the previous rotation, the step before another, let's say, degree was added to that rotation. So we can actually do that with this previous rotation guy. So just for the sake of clarity, I will drop a result node here, so we can actually read out what happens. I will control drag it to copy it, just to be able to see what is going on here. And if I rotate this now, watch what happens. I will enable this animation refresh, so we'll reset that once more. Even this redraw, so we are really sure that these values will be redone real time. So let's give it a shot. Let's rotate downwards, and you can actually see that this value is always larger as we are rotating. Watch these two values. This one is always lower as I rotate. Hopefully you can see that. So this second guy is always a tiny bit larger while we are rotating from this guy. Hope you can see that. Let me just zoom in a bit on that node. I will reset that controller and give it a shot again. You can actually see now that that second guy is always a tiny bit larger until we stop, then they are equal, because the previous rotation is the same as the current rotation. Let me reset that. So how to get a statement in between those two guys? So we have to find a way. We just hit and optimize, so we will actually be able to see those letters clearly. So how do we find a statement between those two guys? How we will actually output a value of 1 or 0 from it? In Espresso there is a nice node here under logic, and it is called order node. Let me delete this result node and I will keep this second one. So this order node is really simple. It will take both inputs and it to really determine which one of the values is larger. So you can actually output three states. And let me connect this to a result node so you will actually see what that means. So now, if I do a rotation, you can see that my result is just briefly, as I'm rotating, -1. That means that input 2 is a bigger value. And as soon as I stop, if you remember, those values become the same, so the result is 0. That means both input 1 and input 2 are the same. The third result that I'm going to get is actually that previous rotation is larger, so the result will be 1. So once again, just to clarify, if I go downwards, the result will be -1. That means this current rotation P is larger. As soon as I stop, as soon as I release this, the result is 0, simply because those two values are the same. If I will go back, then the result will be 1, meaning that input 1 is larger. And also, as soon as I stop with the rotation, the result will be 0. So how does this actually help us? Well, if we go down, the result is -1. And if it stopped, it's 0. And if we go back, it is 1. And then, once again, naturally 0 as soon as we release the rotation. So we would really want, actually, logically, for this jiggle to be enabled only when the result here is -1, because that would really suggest we are going downwards. Okay? So in any other situation, it should be disabled, so we don't have that exactly the same problem I described at the start. So this jiggle should be enabled only if this result equals -1. And that is really pretty simple in Sina4D. You actually have a node here under logic, which will help you do just that. So let's now connect this output here in the input 1. This would mean check this value that is coming from this order guy, which is exactly this value. And the input 2 should be -1. Okay, so put here -1, because this node will output a value of 1. Let me just show you that. I will unwire this and connect these two guys. So if output that is coming into the equal node is equal to this input 2, so basically when these two guys are matched, so when we have -1 here and -1 for the input 2, it will output a result of 1, which is actually a true statement. So let's really test it out. Let's rotate a bit down, and you can see we have a result of 1. And as soon as we release, we have a result of 0. Let me reset this to first position, and that is exactly what we need. So only when it goes down, it will be enabled. So let's connect that to this jiggle. So let's give it a shot, and you can really see how nice this is. It's really nice setup. So let me just filter out these joints. They're kind of in the way. So if you're going upwards, the jiggle will be disabled. But if we go downwards in rotation, the jiggle will be enabled. Of course, you can really position this and fine-tune that jiggle deformer, but you can see it will only show it once we are going down. So take a look at this. The deformer will be only enabled if we are going down. If we will go back, it won't be available. Okay, so this is a really nice setup, and I really hope you enjoyed it. And this is actually the end of volume 3. Of course, there will be bonus lessons, but I want to take this opportunity to thank Igor, who was testing the videos. And I also want to thank Alan Harris, or better known as Rantinal from c4dcafe.com. He helped me a bit with this specific setup. So also I will take this opportunity to request something from you as my customers. I would really be thankful for anyone's feedback on this training and every single suggestion, every single impression that you have. It would be really nice if you could really post that on C4D Cafe topic about volume 3, because that way I can have everything on one place and it's much easier for me to collect information, and the sole reason for it is to make future trainings even better. And naturally, once again, thank you very much for the purchase. I hope you really enjoyed the videos, and you can find many free models on our website, and we update that section on a regular basis. And of course, the brave ones among you can really donate us if they feel that these tutorials are worth much more. So good luck in your rigging and the setups and espresso and scripting, and I'm looking forward to your impression, and we'll see you once again in volume 4.